the day. Carpe diem, a saying, a rhetoric, a brand. A brand so embodying of the saying it is named after that it is one of those rare factories of geniuses. Those who worked on the original brand could almost be seen as the Italian/Italian artisanal Antwerp 6. It is ironic, as there are a lot of similarities comparing Carpe Diem to the previously talked about artist Andalemister. From their strong use of motifs to, of course, it being one of these collectives that really was churning out geniuses. Its original designers consisted of Maurizio Amadei, who was the founder, and went on to create Emma Maria, Simone Cecchetto, who went on to create A1923, Luca Lorini, who went on to create Label Under Construction, but most importantly, especially for today's video, Maurizio Amadei, who now is MA+. However, I'm jumping the gun there. As previously mentioned, this was more than a brand. This was a collective of craftsman geniuses who pushed every possible boundary there was, from their conceptual concepts to, once again, the craft that they used within their boots to their other items. They pushed everything to its limit. However, Carpe Diem ended almost 20 years ago, in 2006. So the question remains, where did Maurizio Amadei go from there? And the answer, as previously said as well, is MA+. Born in Rome, Maurizio, like many of the others I talk about, was always drawn to the arts. Now, slight caveat, as you realized I have not mentioned a year that he was born. And I have looked. I think I was so incredibly close to figuring out what year and day he was born. I was able to track down Maurizio Amadei's birthday through a patent in the UK for his brand, and I accidentally thought it was Maurizio Amadei. As you remember, Maurizio Amadei was the founder of Carpe Diem, who then went on to do M. Maria. So unfortunately, we do not have a conclusive date or year that Maurizio Amadei was born. But either way, we can assume that it was about late 60s, early 70s. Of course, growing up in Italy, especially in those years, how could you not be drawn to the arts? So obviously, his upbringing contributed heavily into his design philosophy. Normally at this point in the video, I would show off a piece of his and talk about it in detail. Two caveats. One, I actually do not own any MA+, and two, I've never made a pair of boots myself, so who am I to analyze any sort of craftsmanship? Very fortunately, I have an amazing friend who, one, has a pair of the boots, and two, has made quite a few pairs himself. So without further ado, let him talk to you about MA's beautiful crafts.
Hey y'all, my name is Mason Reed. I'm an accessories, footwear, and fragrance designer, and I wanted to talk to y'all about these boots today. One of my favorite pairs of boots, and a pair that my good friend Brenner wanted me to speak about. Very unique pair of boots. So yeah, let's get into it. These are buckle boots, or engineer boots, from Emma, which is an Italian label. It's one of my all-time favorite designers, Maurizio Amadei. I really think the focus on materials and simplicity and really innovative pattern making just really makes it stand out to me. And these boots are kind of a great example of that commitment to simplicity and craftsmanship. There's nothing to hide with these. There's nowhere where you can hide any gimmicks or hide the quality of the leather or anything like that. And I really appreciate just letting the material shine and focusing on quality in such a way. Just a little bit about these in terms of stats. They're a Goodyear welted, pull-on, buckle style engineer boot, as you can see. Really interesting way of having the belt here kind of nailed on in the back, unlike any other engineers I've ever seen. You have no top buckle, it's just kind of loose, kind of a nice pull-on. And signature, see it better on here, you have a sterling silver buckle and a little bit of those logo staples, kind of a signature detail. Just a really great, simple boot, you know? What else can I talk about with these? Very simple construction. Something else that I think is really interesting with these, if I unbuckle the buckle here, can kind of get a closer look at the pattern. You can see the seam there. This is just a really simple, you have the vamp area to the back is lined. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Lined vamp, and then this top piece here is just completely unlined, beautiful brown horse leather. I think that's really the standout part of these. It's a super simple shape, super simple pattern. And again, just letting that beautiful leather shine. You can see here, you can see a lot of that natural, beautiful vein and shine to the leather. So lovely natural brown that's kind of patinaed into a deeper shade over time. Classic hard sole, Goodyear welt. Kind of see you have a differentiation. You don't have as much veining on the other side, and I think you just have so much square footage here, right, to just show off the leather, and it's just been aging absolutely beautifully. These kind of pieces have curled over a bit. It's almost like a fantasy medieval vibe to me, which I think is a really unique take on an engineer boot, which kind of usually leans more Western or more Americana, but you know, you have this Italian designer's spin on it. So you just get a beautiful, everyday, wearable, just a great boot. So that's a little bit of why I love Emma Cross. Just really a perfect boot in general. As a designer, I'm really inspired by that approach to simplicity and the approach to material. And just having an appreciation for the natural material, where these products come from and the animal that had to give up its life for something, and kind of honoring it with a beautiful piece of artwork. I do similar things with my own work, like I make wallets, kind of like this here, molded veg tan leather. You can kind of see similar sheen. All right. even in my footwear work, really simple one-piece pattern. Again, wild boar hide. Just letting the leather talk. I think that is kind of the biggest lesson that we can take from this, is when you get the best materials and you have simplicity and honesty in the design, you get a piece that really only gets better with age. And I think that makes them very special. Anyway, thank you. That is going to be it for these lovely boots.
Thank you, Mason. The motifs. Yet again, we are finding more parallels with Andalemister, with an extraordinarily heavy usage of motifs throughout his work. And most notable of those motifs is the cross. The cross is one of those universal motifs that, claimed by Maurizio Amadei, really creates the final touch to such a strong brand. Used throughout almost every single piece of his, from belts to bags to shirts, and even used as reliefs in rings, the cross is absolutely everywhere. The cross is usually seen implemented through silver staples, and that is primarily on the leatherwork. However, as mentioned, we see it as reliefs in things like rings and jewelry, and we also see it as stitches in clothing. Obviously, M Cross being the brand name itself, the cross represents more than just a simple motif in this case. It is the embodiment of everything that Maurizio wants in the brand, and the repetition just pushes forward his ideas of consistency and craft throughout all of his work. The next motif that he uses, despite being just as encompassing within his work, takes a slightly different form compared to traditional imagery, and that would be his complete rejection of traditional patterns and, I would even say, traditional craft in most of his work. One of my absolute favorite standalone examples of this was his venture into a project dubbed the One Piece Project. A magnum opus of self-taught ingenuity. It is an entire outfit made of one single, unbroken piece of fabric. The result is something closer to art than clothing, and you can see this with the way that it was displayed itself, being put into an installation/gallery, used as, once again, a relief in leather hangings in his office, really an art piece rather than clothing. And I feel nothing hits the nail on the coffin of rejection of traditional patterns more than this here. This concept, though, of self-created patterns, as mentioned, in my opinion, is one of his strongest motifs. And thus, we witness it throughout all pieces, not just these standalone art installations, but once again, bringing up shirts, bringing up boots. Within each piece, he embeds his craft and his authenticity. And at the place that they cross, we have M.A. Cross. Thank you very much for watching this video once more. This took longer to get out, but that was because I was traveling. I'm recording a short film where a small trailer is going to be shown off for that in my next video. Once again, an absolutely huge thank you to Mason for showing off the boots, delving into more of the craft and the perfection that Maurizio puts into everything he does. I hope you all learned at least something from this, and as always, have an amazing day.